Hello, this is Roy Lee Lindsay, Executive Director here at the Oklahoma Pork Council. And one of the things we wanted to do this year, we thought might be of benefit to you as our members, and is a video segment once a week to kind of give you an update of what's happening around the office, what's happening especially this time of year at the state capitol. And so this is our first attempt at that. We hope you like it. If you've got feedback for us, please be sure and let us know if this is good, bad, or otherwise, so we can try to make it better as we go on down the road. We're nearing the end. We really reached the end of week 2 of the legislative session for 2017. The biggest challenge, I think, for everyone working at the state capitol this year is that there's 40 plus new members of the legislature. So out of 149 total, there's more than 40, 43, I think, 45 that are brand new. And that's a huge number for us to learn, to get to know what their expectations are, to know what their backgrounds are, what are their hot button issues, if you will, throughout the coming year. And so that's the biggest challenge, I think, for everyone that spends any time working at the Capitol so far. Now you add to that, just in general, the sense of what's going on at the Capitol. They're still looking at almost a $900 million budget hole this year, trying to figure out how they're going to fill that. Governor Fallin, in her State of the State address last week, recommended new sales taxes, if you will, or taxes on services, 164 of those services, and that's going to generate enough money that we wouldn't have to increase your income tax, would completely eliminate the corporate sales tax. It would do away with the state's portion of sales tax on groceries. She wants to do some other things, add money to the cigarette tax and some things like that. But ultimately, she'd end up with a budget that adds about 6% more spending, and doesn't take any one-time money, so it doesn't raid the revolving funds of state agencies. That proposal has met a very lukewarm reception, if you will, amongst the legislature. And as a matter of fact, Lieutenant Governor Todd Lamb resigned as a member of the governor's cabinet today, stating that he just could not support her tax plan and that she deserved to have somebody in her cabinet that actually supported what her tax plan was. So not a whole lot of support out there for what the governor has proposed, and we don't have a good answer for what the legislature is going to do as we move on down the road. Just a reminder, any increase in taxes is going to require a 3/4 vote of the House and the Senate. So that's 76 members in the House. There are 73 Republicans in the House. So they're going to have to get some Democratic votes if they're going to adopt any tax increases. The belief has been that eliminating exemptions that exist, like the governor had proposed on taxing some of these services. The taxes are already on the book. We've just crafted exemptions for services over time. And there's the belief that if they remove the exemption, that's not the same as creating a new tax, because the tax had already existed, and that wouldn't require the 3/4 majority vote. That really hasn't been challenged and tested yet. There's been some talk about it as agencies have increased fees and things, but nobody's really challenged as it comes to dealing with exemptions that are in law so far. Certainly if 164 new services were to be taxed, somebody would challenge that, and we'd see what the courts say as to how that will develop. From an Oklahoma Pork Council standpoint, the things that are important to us this week, we did see a bill pass out of the Senate Ag Committee that deal with setbacks of animal feeding operations and swine feeding operations from municipalities. Currently there's a 3-mile setback for any licensed facility from a city or a town, and the bills that passed this week would give that city or that municipality the authority to waive that setback. This is a case where a dairy farm in southwest Oklahoma, actually in the Senate President Pro Tem's district, is too close to town and they want to obtain a license, and they're not able right now because of the setback. And the city wants them to obtain a license, and the city wants them to stay where they are. So the city and the farm have both requested this type of legislation. It passed 12-0, I think, was the vote out of the Senate Ag Committee this week. There was a companion bill that did the same for swine facilities, and there's another bill that does the same over in the House of Representatives, but just hadn't been heard yet. So probably be heard sometime next week. Other issues that we're paying close attention to, obviously, feral hogs are important to us. Nothing's really happened yet on feral hogs. There'll be some legislation coming down the pike, but we haven't seen it yet. And then we're watching very closely on the tax issues. If you've got a $900 million hole in your budget and you got to fill it somehow, are they going to start looking at taxes on services as the governor's proposed? Are they going to start trying to remove sales tax exemptions like we have today for the ag sales tax? Are we going to look at increasing property taxes or giving schools or city government or county government the authority to increase ad valorem rates in order to generate more revenue? All those things could have an impact on your bottom line, and that's why we work every day. Watch what's going on at the state capitol, pay attention. We've got folks out there every day to make sure that we're doing all we can to protect your livelihood and your opportunity to stay in business. So if you want to know something that's going on at the state capitol, you've got a question you'd like us to address in the future, give us a call. Call the office, talk to Lindsay at 405-232-3781, or shoot us an email and we'll be happy to try to answer your question. So that's all for week 2's update. We'll get you an update again next week.